Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Hong Kong film. Iron-blooded warrior, starting from the Next Street Ye Tian traveled to the integrated world of Hong Kong in the 1980s, and his younger brother Luo Tianhong, the nine-striped dragon, became a dwarf mule of Hongtai.Ye Tian's combat effectiveness was on the charts, and Chen Mei sent someone to collect money in order to trap him. However, he went straight to the street and shocked the entire club.Crow. Brother Tian, are you still accepting people? I'll just pass by and you'll forget it. The Eastern Star and 5 tigers are all gone. Chen Haonan. It's Brother Tian who carries the handlebar in Causeway Bay. He's the final say of this territory.Lin Huaile. Brother Tian, don't flag anymore. Liansheng and I are almost out of territory. Let's have some food to eat. In a few years, he has conquered the entire Hong Kong island and is known as the God of War, becoming a legendary figure on the island. He is a philanthropist, real estate tycoon, and martial arts tycoon. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. 001, Rebirth of Hong Kong Island, starting with Luo Tianhong and Jiuwen. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. I want to see my wife and have my lawyer come over. With a heart-wrenching roar, Ye Tian opened his eyes. Ye Tian, who had read countless films, immediately left the room next to him, where Big D was locked. Look at me, look at my joke. I'll kill you if I go out. Big D stared so hard that his eyes were about to fly out. Ye Tian glanced at the prison guard, still unable to believe everything in front of him. I only remember watching a movie when the TV flickered and emitted a dazzling white light. This was Ye Tian's last memory of his past life. It was this dazzling light that unexpectedly made Ye Tian cross the Xiang River in the 1980s, where the world of many Hong Kong films was integrated. In the golden age of Xinjiang, there were countless underworld gangs, including the Number Gang, Hongxing, Dongxing, and Liansheng, collectively known as the 4 major clubs in the martial arts world. Below them, there were countless small clubs that followed and made a living. The most indispensable thing in this era is the ancient playboy. If you grab a handful on the street, 2 out of 10 are members of a mixed society. And Ye Tian's new identity is that of an ancient troublemaker, who is currently squatting on the throne. A sir, dressed in police uniform, stood at the entrance of the prison and shouted. Ye Tian, someone is on bail and can leave now. Hey, where's my lawyer? You want my lawyer to come over? Big D was still shouting frantically. Honestly. Ye Tian turned to look at D and said, don't worry, we'll go out later. As soon as Ye Tian left, he saw Jiuwen Long and Luo Tianhong squatting at the entrance of the police station. The 2 of them saw Ye Tian come out and shouted one after another. Tian Gu. Tian Gu. Ye Tian was a bit confused. He only had memories of this world from the movie, knowing that both of them were fierce characters. Tian Gu, silly cow, is at the Huaile bathhouse. Jiuwen Long said angrily. The silly ox in Jiuwen Longko is one of the 13 guardians of Ciyun Mountain, which is a branch of the Number Gang. As soon as the name of the silly bull came out, memories quickly flooded into Ye Tian's mind. Ye Tian crossed over to the body of an ancient troublemaker with the same name, known as Liang Tian in the martial arts world. At present, I work under the command of Boqiang, a spokesperson for Hongtai society. My identity is just a straw shoe, and the opportunity to join the club is very simple. It's just that life is difficult to get by and I am forced to join the club. Now Hongtai's leading elder brother is Uncle Mei, known for his cunning and spicy nature, and also likes to protect calves. Although they all start with the character Hongtai's strength is not as strong as Hongtu's. The only comfort I felt was that the 2 fierce generals in front of me, Jiuwen Long and Luo Tianhong, were both Ye Tian's younger brothers. Memories that appeared at the police station also gushed out, and Ye Tian's mind was running rapidly like a movie. Yesterday, Ye Tian took people to sell goods and was ambushed by a foolish cow. He also encountered the pursuit of the police, leaving his wealth and goods empty. He was even sent to a prison for a night, and the lawyer of the club paid 20,000 yuan in bail to get it out. Ye Tian sighed. Perhaps this is not the lowest configuration of the crossover, is it? What about the system? Where is my golden finger? At this moment, a crisp voice echoed in my mind. Ding, the super gene system has been bound. Congratulations to the host for receiving the newcomer gift pack. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the primary gene potion Tiger Gene Potion, which includes a Tang Dao and 10 million Hong Kong dollars. Obtain primary gene fusion solution, which can extract other biological genes for fusion into gene drugs, and after taking it, possess partial ability of that gene. Primary gene drug, possessing 10% of the gene's ability, up to a maximum of 50%. Ye Tian will immediately take the Tiger Gene Potion. Feeling something swimming along his blood vessels, Ye Tian's face was serious and his whole body was instantly filled with strength. He punched the van with a punch. Clang and clang, the car had a dent in the iron sheet, and Jiuwen Dragon and Luo Tianhong stood still. Is this still the heavenly brother I know? Stupid, hold it this way. The two of them were still using their anger to convince themselves of the scene they had just seen, but their throats couldn't help but swallow saliva. Brother Tian, you want me to handle it, Luo Tianhong, who had a reaction, said repeatedly. Seeing that Ye Tian had no problem, the two of them stared at each other in silence. Ye Tian looked at the air in front of him and said, System, check the personal properties panel. Name. Ye Tian Strength. 25, normal value is 10, physical fitness. 15, normal value is 10, speed. 20, normal value is 10, endurance. 10, normal value is 10, system warehouse. 20 cubic meters. Adult normal attribute 10, gene potion level, junior, intermediate, advanced, perfect level, all of these combined, the entire Xiangjiang may not be able to withstand Ye Tian's attack. Ye Tian smiled. With this system, in the Golden Land, anyone who still wants to make a straw shoe will naturally have to make something out of it. Unlike usual laughter, Jiuwen Long's face was filled with desire, and he felt that Tian Gu in front of him was completely unfamiliar. Where is the silly cow? Ye Tian looked at Luo Tianhong. Ye Tian's face was full of seriousness, and Luo Tianhong could only see ferocity in Ye Tian's eyes. Her eyes dodged and she dared not look directly. Huaile bathhouse, dozens of little brothers, seems prepared. I just disrupted Ye Tian's business yesterday, so of course, I need to be cautious today. Silly Bull has been able to stay on the road for so many years, and besides his powerful fists, he naturally has a bit of a mind. Otherwise, those enemies would have had an opportunity to take advantage of it earlier, and they would probably have been zombies on the street. Although Silly Cow doesn't even take Ye Tian seriously, there is still someone like Boqiang behind him. Drive to the Huaile bathhouse, Ye Tian said without hesitation. The two of them stood still, and Ye Tian turned around to leave. They had to accelerate their pace and quickly get on the car. Ye Tian sat in the back seat, in the rearview mirror, his face expressionless but with a hair-raising aura. Huaile bathhouse, the burly man with a bath towel wrapped around his lower body is lying on the massage chair, revealing his upper body. He has a long dragon tattoo on his body, with distinct muscle blocks and a sturdy physique like a cow, worthy of being called a silly cow by outsiders. Standing beside him were three little brothers, two beautiful women massaging Silly Cow, and Silly Cow's face was full of enjoyment. Turning around, he caught a glimpse of the pretty girl who was pinching her feet. Silly Nyo hugged the beautiful girl in his arms and moved her up and down. Come and take good care of you, Mr. Cowherd. The beautiful woman's face was full of excuses, and the foolish cow took a handful of money and threw it directly onto her chest, then pretended to reach out to take it out. The entire bathroom was filled with silly and lewd laughter, while the little brother beside watched the commotion. Woohoo yo! The beautiful woman's face was full of resistance, but the people around her only dared to whisper and watch coldly. Who makes them stupid cows? They come from a big source, not to mention the entire bathroom. Looking at the entire Ciyun Mountain, how many dare to act like stupid cows? P.S. New book seeking data 200 flowers plus updates, 40 review votes plus updates. 002, 13 Tai Bao of Ciyun Mountain, foolish cow begging for mercy, 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Silly cow brother, do you have any manners? Amidst the cheers and sighs of the crowd, mocking voices echoed in the ears of the silly cow, who then threw the girl beside him to the ground. Who dares to speak ill of me behind my back? The silly ox cursed angrily. The faces of the younger brothers also instantly changed, and they all followed the sound to look. It's Ye Tian. Following closely behind were the 9-striped dragon and Luo Tianhong. He really dares to come knocking, isn't that foolish? Taking revenge, just 2 people, that's not enough to cut. I guess it's just that the squatter's brain has been fooled and he's not even going to die. For these silly little brothers, and for Ye Tian's strength, of course, it still remains at yesterday. Silly cow knew that Ye Tian would come to settle the accounts, so he arranged the Hongmen banquet. The outskirts of the Huaile bathhouse had already been ambushed by silly cow with more than 10 brothers, waiting for Ye Tian to deliver them to his door. But silly cow never expected that Ye Tian would bring 2 little brothers. Ye Tian, with these 2 thugs on the street, you shouldn't be too useless. The people under your command have run out, right? Silly Nyo calmly sat down and lit a cigarette. Ye Tian looked at the smug and silly ox with an expressionless expression and said, bringing them all is too much of a compliment to you. For you, just one of me is enough. Bang! Jiuwen Long kicked away the table next to him and shouted, Brother Tian, teach me a lesson. If you don't want to die, go away. The fiery posture, ordinary people dare not provoke, and the crowd quickly dispersed. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. We need to fight, run quickly, it's important to save our lives. Although that's the case, Xiangjiang never lacks fire fighting, and everyone gathers outside to watch the excitement. For a moment. There are only 2 groups of people left in the bathhouse, Ye Tian and silly cow. Kill these 3 street thugs for me, roared the silly ox. The members of the number gang gathered around one after another, and several number gang members drew machetes and charged towards the 3 of them. Luo Tianhong and Jiuwen Long, 2 young brothers, were about to take action when they saw a flash of cold light. Ah! Ye Tian struck the right hand of the swordsman with a knife, and the swordsman screamed in agony, covering his arm and falling down, then he chopped down 1 person at a time like chopping vegetables and melons. Number helped to lay on the ground. The little brother outside watched as everyone gathered around the beautiful bathhouse, staring at the glass and watching the excitement. Huashi and a few brothers flicked the smoke from their hands and quickly rushed in. Crazy, quickly dodge. What caught the eye were a dozen or so little brothers lying on the ground. Huashi's face was full of disbelief, and those around silly girl were the most skilled thugs. The miserable scene in front of me made the brothers who were with me hesitate. The silly cow shouted, fire shit, kill him for me. Huashi is also a brave person who can fight 10 times, and is even more willing to ruin the club. As soon as Luo Tianhong drew his knife, Ye Tian struck the other person's eye with a single blow. Fire shit covered his eyes and screamed loudly, with blood dripping from his fingers. Yeah, you really see the ghost. Silly Nyo lifted the table in front of him and ran towards the bathhouse. Ye Tian rushed forward with 1 swift step and kicked the silly cow into the bathtub. What are you running for? I don't know how to kill anyone. Silly Nyo quickly stood up and took a big step in the water, stumbling. Ye Tian, you're crazy. My boss is. Before I could finish speaking, I was kicked down by Ye Tian again. Silly Cow crawled forward on the ground, while Ye Tian held a knife and pressed forward step by step. Immediately, Silly Cow was forced to the corner of the wall, trembling with fear. Looking at the silly ox's appearance, Ye Tian joked, "Aren't you quite arrogant? Come on. The Yi weather field is forcing people, and the silly cow kneels and kowtow directly. Tian Gu, please let me go this time. I promise it won't happen again, please spare my dog's life." Yi Tian grabbed the silly cow's hair and let out a cold snort. "Okay, if you finish drinking this bathtub, I'll spare your life." This. Before Silly Cow could finish speaking, Yi Tian cut off Silly Cow's right arm with a knife. Ah! The howling sound shook the glass of the bathhouse. The silly cow was still shouting hysterically, and Yi Tian pressed his head directly to the bottom of the bathtub. Ah! The people outside, surrounded by Xiangjiang, have also watched a lot of matches, but this is the first time they have been so ruthless. The bloody scene was really unbearable, it only made people feel nauseous for a moment. The onlookers were speaking cold words on the side. Before this, Yi Tian was still an unnamed minion. In today's battle, he intimidated the entire Xiangjiang. Even a silly cow has today. The face of the number gang has made him feel embarrassed. If I were him, I might as well die. It's numb, I feel nauseous from looking at it. The move is really ruthless, which one is so ruthless? Blood flowed out along the crack in the door, causing everyone to sigh again. Brother Tian, this person is useless. Nine-striped dragon grabbed the collar of the fire excrement and dragged it to the side of the bathtub. Upon hearing this, Yi Tian threw the silly cow covered in tendons and flesh directly into the pool. With the knife in his hand, Huashi walked towards Huashi and said, "I worked hard for the club. I'm from the number gang, how dare you move? You have more backbone than your boss, but your vision is not good," Yi Tian sneered. "Throw it onto the massage chair, step on the chair with your feet, and pick up the knife to directly break the tendons of your hands and feet. From now on, don't let me see you in Xiangjiang," he said, sticking his mouth to Huashi's ear. Ding, the host tidies up the 13 Taibao foolish bulls of Ciyun Mountain, gains 5 attributes and 1 million Hong Kong dollars. The people of Xiangjiang on the outskirts frequently vomited, and Jiuwen Long and Luo Tianhong were also stunned in their place. When did Tian Gu become so ruthless and ruthless? Yi Tian's body was covered in blood, and he wiped away the blood splashed on his mouth with his thumb. His face remained unchanged, but it made people shudder. Break their tendons and throw them on the street to feed the dog. After speaking, Yi Tian threw away 10,000 Hong Kong dollars and left. When going out, the onlookers within 3 feet of each other were hiding far away. "Brother Scum, should we join them?" Several young people in the corner of the bathhouse looked at Ah Scum, who was leading the way. Ah Jia hesitated. Just as he was about to pick up some cheap goods, he saw Yi Tian chopping people with his own eyes and was completely numb. A few people have no culture or background when they first arrive, and their bones are restless about wanting to get ahead. The only way to go is through clubs. "I'm sure you can make money with someone like this, and maybe even get ahead," said the other person. "Anyone would be happy to follow such a big brother. But these people are the identities of Yunanzi, which no club looks down upon. Yunanzi's identity is that even ordinary people dare to step on it. Moreover, in this crisscrossing Xiangjiang, it is difficult to survive on Hong Kong Island without joining clubs. Ah Jia, if we don't hurry up, we won't have a chance," a little brother hurriedly said as he watched his back go further and further away. Looking at Yi Tian, who had just boarded the car not far away, Ah Jia gritted his teeth after careful consideration. "Let's go and give it a try first. P.S. New book seeking data 200 flowers plus updates, 40 review votes plus updates. 003, Vietnam's Three Brothers, Ah Cha, Ah Hu, 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Silly ox was thrown onto the streets of Ciyun Mountain. All I saw was a sigh of relief. If I didn't get involved in club matters, I wouldn't get involved, and if I got into trouble, it would be troublesome. That night, the body of Big Silly Cow was discovered by the parking assistant in the parking lot. For a moment, the news that Ye Tian had killed the 13 foolish bulls of Ciyun Mountain quickly spread. Isn't Liang Tian just a dog of the Boqiang? He can still chop people. The foolish ox climbed up without risking his life, and only then sat in today's seat. To me, he never even dreamed of someone beating him like this. Damn it, Liang Tian, this kid is so picky. I've never heard of him before. Regarding this, the people of Ciyun Mountain are discussing it one after another, and the name of Liang Tian has become a respected and distant presence. This news quickly reached the ears of Chen Huimin, the number helper. Hello, de Boqiang, Chen Huimin, Liang Tian chopped off the silly cow. Chen Huimin's tone on the phone was full of anger. Little brother, it's inevitable that there will be conflicts. Let's do it this way. Tomorrow at 8 o'clock, the Backbone restaurant will talk about math. When there is something that the club cannot reach an agreement on, everyone should make an appointment to talk about it together. If it doesn't work out, we can start fighting. This is a rule among clubs. I come out to make money. I work hard all day and there's no business on the street. Besides, the cost of matchmaking is also quite high, including medical expenses and the cost of settling in for a younger brother. There's no such thing as saying that everyone has been chopped to death, and if they don't pay, they will fight fiercely. That's all. Yujia, Ye Tian and his group sat down. Tian Gu, it's really satisfying, Jiuwen Long laughed. It took the current Ye Tianxi Josie 3 years to work in grass shoes. According to the rules of the club, it takes 4 or 9 years for Ye Tian to wear grass shoes. In theory, achieving grass shoes in 3 years is a remarkable feat. In fact, Ye Tian in this world doesn't have much strength, he just managed to block de Boqiang in a fierce battle, which is why he became a professional grass shoe. No one looks up to it, in the eyes of outsiders, it's just a dog raised by de Bo's strong body. After this fight, I'm sure everyone was dumbfounded. Liang Tian has been pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger all along. Luo Tianhong and Jiuwen Long repeatedly praised and admired Ye Tian from the bottom of their hearts. Ye Tian leaned back on the chair and closed his eyes, which was just the scene. It was indeed killing without blinking an eye, but this was also Ye Tian's first time doing something, and Ye Tian, who had recovered, was also very nervous. Dong 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 dong, upon hearing the sound of knocking on the door, several people instantly became alert. Ye Tian signaled that Luo Tianhong carefully opened the door, while Jiuwen Long hid behind the door. The machete on the hand of the 9-striped dragon still bears blood. Jia, Luo Tianhong immediately signaled to stop. There are 3 ragged guys outside the door. Looking at the people who were not in the number gang, Luo Tianhong opened the door wide and shouted loudly. Who are you, sneaking here? What do you want to do? Ah Jia was scared out of his wits by the scene and looked flustered. We are from Yunnan and saw you at the Huaile bathhouse. We want to join your club. Jiuwen Long threw down the machete in his hand and said, Brother Tian. Ye Tian stood at the door, took a deep smoke, and looked at the 3 of them. What's your name? A few people were still in fear and couldn't recover. Hey, speak up, Tian Gu is asking. Luo Tianhong shouted loudly. Ah scum. Ah who? Tony. Jiuwen Long looked at the people in front of him and said. Where did you come from? It doesn't seem like you're from Xinjiang, right? Upon hearing this, several people instantly lost their confidence and spoke in a low voice. It's from Yunnan. Don't worry, all three of us are overseas Chinese. No one will look down upon the identity of Yunnanzi, and the three of them are also taking a gamble. The Ye Tian next to him is very calm. In the current situation, after just chopping the silly cow, there will definitely be a lot of fighting afterwards. No matter how much Ye Tian can fight, he cannot shoulder everything alone. As for joining a club, the more people there are, the better. I don't care where I come from, but if I can use it for me, one heart is like a brother. Three faces were filled with joy. What are you doing in a daze? Shout Tian Gu quickly. Ah Zha looked at the two people beside him and said. Oh my. Before he could shout it out, Ye Tian raised his hand to stop it. Let's get to the front, don't be too naive in the club, don't forget, this is Xinjiang. To survive, only you can climb up step by step on your own. As long as you have the courage to fight, you will not be mistreated. Of course, clubs are not something that can be entered just because of a hot head. Of course, Ah Zha and the three of them knew that Ye Tian was not making it difficult for him, but rather was reminding a few people. The three of them looked at each other and shouted in unison. Brother Tian! Brother Tian! Brother Tian! A few people walked in and looked at the two people in front of them. Ye Tian said. 9 Pattern Dragon. Luo Tianhong, a brief introduction and a few people greeted. There are a total of 50,000 Hong Kong dollars here, and each person can take 10,000 yuan themselves. Thank you, Brother Tian. Ye Tian picked up his clothes. Alright, don't sit down either, go out for dinner. For Ye Tian, these few people only had the impression of being ruthless at the Huaile bathhouse just now. Standing in front of Zaishan, he never expected that Ye Tian would be particularly righteous towards his brothers. These people are even more determined to follow Ye Tian's lead. In the evening, there is a backbone restaurant. The few people standing in front of the restaurant were dumbfounded. A spirited restaurant, usually a place where club members and senior executives discuss matters, Ye Tian actually invited them here for dinner. Not to mention that Ah Zha and the others were stunned, even the faces of Jiuwen Long and Luo Tianhong were filled with astonishment. Tian Gu, where did you get rich? Jiuwen Long couldn't help but sigh. A place to eat, make do with it, Ye Tian said, and a few people entered. A few people were wolfing down their food when mockery came from beside them. Ye Tian, you do enjoy it. After causing so much trouble for Hong Tai, do you still have the leisure to eat here? Looking through the sound, it was the leader, de Boqiang tu ma Ciyun. I saw that Ciyun was sweating hot all over, obviously looking for them for a while. A few people put down their bowls and chopsticks with unfriendly eyes. Ye Tian said, for IDE, Uncle Chang wants you to come over. For IDE had just finished gasping for breath when Ye Tian stood up and burst into a cold sweat. As the 13 guardians of Ciyun Mountain, Silly Cow has excellent martial arts skills and is known as the number gang Red Stick. Can Silly Cow and Little Brother ask Ye Tian to take the two of them and do it? Don't be nervous. Uncle Chang wants you to come up and discuss something urgent, said Ciyun in a respectful tone. Speaking of this, Ye Tian naturally did not find it difficult for Ciyun. Ye Tian's 4 eyes, covered in sweat, said with righteousness, lead the way. Ciyun Mountain is the entrance of a mahjong parlor. For IDE stopped the 5 people behind Ye Tian and said, Ah Tian, what Uncle Chang said is that you need to go see him yourself. Luo Tianhong stood beside Ye Tian and whispered, Brother Tian, the visitor is not kind. Ah Zha and a few others stood still, only knowing that they were meeting the Lord of Ciyun Mountain. As for the rest, they didn't think much. Jiuwen Long looked at Ciyun with one glance and threatened, we must go with Tian Gu. P.S. New book seeking data 200 flowers plus updates, 40 review votes plus updates. 004, Kill de Boqiang. I don't have to betray you like this. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ye Tian looked at Jiuwen long and joked, "Don't worry, my family still can't believe it. They definitely want me to avoid the limelight." The nine-striped dragon naturally didn't believe it and stopped in front of Ye Tian, saying, "See who dares to move." Luo Tianhong took a big step and stood next to Ye Tian, saying, "Brother Tian, do you want to?" Watching both sides nervously nervous, Ye Tian smiled and said, "I made a big contribution by killing a stupid cow no matter how you say it. It's not worth it." With this sentence, everyone began to respond and say, "Yes, yes." His face was full of smiles, but Ye Tian's heart was calculating. Uncle Chang let him go alone, and the rumors on the road may not be unfounded. It seems that Boqiang needs to be scrapped tonight. Ye Tian looked at Xianyi with a smile and said, "Wait a moment, the new guy, let me explain a few words. I'll go in and see you." Xianyi nodded and thought to himself. Why are you laughing so eerily?" Driven by fear, for eyes E and a few others looked around cautiously, afraid that Ye Tian had arranged it in advance. But after all, this is the territory of Boqiang, and I'm sure Ye Tian wouldn't dare to make a mistake, let alone Ye Tian, who was all brought up by Boqiang. A few people came to a corner of the wall and gathered in a circle. Ye Tian instructed the 5 people, outside, "You guys should pick up your spirits and rush in as soon as there is any movement." Luo Tianhong's eyes were fixed on the brothers around Iha and he whispered, "Boqiang really wants to hand you over to Chen Huimin." Ja and the 3 of them just tasted it. A few people came together to die, but fortunately, Ye Tian was not the one to provoke. Ye Tian calmly lit a cigarette, and a hint of malice appeared on his face as he swallowed the clouds and puffed out the mist. "He won't be able to survive tonight, whether or not," he said after speaking. He threw the cigarette he had just taken a sip of onto the ground. A few people suddenly became alert, and Ja and others only felt that they were following the right person. Jiuwen Long and Luo Tianhong only felt that Ye Tian was completely different from before. The fiery Ye Tian made several people feel that their day of glory was coming soon. Ye Tian took out a few machetes from his personal space and gave Luo Tianhong an 8-sided Han sword. For Ye Tian's ideas, Luo Tianhong instantly understood. The police station strictly guards against underworld activities, and various clubs often use storefronts as cover. Passing through a group of men and women playing mahjong, Xianyi and Ye Tian arrived at the entrance of a room. "Tell Brother Chang that the beautiful day has arrived," Xianyi said to the ancient confused boy standing at the door. A moment I only heard the big wave in the room shouting angrily. "Get him rolling in." Boqiang sat gloomy in the main hall seat, with a green Shu Guanggong shrine next to him, adorned with 3 incense sticks. "Chen Huimin has threatened and Boqiang must explain to the number gang." Ye Tian still said as if nothing had happened. "Brother Chang, do you call me?" After speaking, Ye Tian sat down directly. Bang! Bo slammed the table heavily and shouted angrily. "Hello Daredevil, do you know where Silly Cow came from?" Ye Tian put away his smile and his expression became serious. "The 13 protectors of Ciyun Mountain, the younger brother of Chen Huimin." The strong waves instantly erupted into flames. "Do you know you're still doing it? Should I say you're not afraid of trouble, or are you not afraid of causing trouble?" Regarding this, Ye Tian was also full of helplessness. He took the initiative first. "Those who join the club must follow the rules. Chen Huimin asked me to explain, how do you want me to explain?" The boy was forced to speak helplessly, but he had already had an idea in his heart. "Abandon the foolish cow, the beautiful sky is renowned in the martial arts world, but the number gang has lost face, so they will definitely not let Ye Tian go. This matter can't be easily resolved, but Ye Tian is not as easy to bully as before. Uncle Chang, you are the person in charge of the conversation. You are in charge of this matter." After careful consideration, Boqiang reluctantly spoke up. Take your left hand to see Chen Huimin and let him handle it. This matter is settled. As expected by Ye Tian, coming out to mess around and talking about brotherly morality is all for the sake of money. Upon hearing these words, Ye Tian stood up and pointed at Boqiang, shouting, Boqiang, you won't survive tonight. I see you're drinking too much. Say it again. Ye Tian in this world is all promoted by Boqiang, and of course Boqiang doesn't believe this. A hint of malice appeared in Ye Tian's eyes and he said, I said you won't survive tonight. If it's against you, the dog will still bite people, Boqiang scolded angrily. Although there was a sound of mahjong to cover it up, the sound of arguments in the room spread to the outside. The four-eyed righteous eye saw that the form was not right, and just as it was about to push the door, it was directly pressed against Luo Tianhong's neck. The knife doesn't have long eyes, Brother E, be careful and ask your people to put down the knife. Four-eyed E Meng, he didn't want to be buried with big silly cow and shouted repeatedly. Put them all down. In the room, Boqiang reached out to grab Tang Dao, and Ye Tian kicked him in the stomach. Boqiang fell to the ground, and the enshrined shrine directly hit Boqiang's head. I have to deal with outsiders, even Guangdong and Grandpa can't bear it. After that, Ye Tian stabbed Boqiang in the stomach. Bo forcefully covered his stomach and shouted, You will have retribution, for I-Z. Upon hearing the sound, Luo Tianhong came in from outside, leaning against her four-eyed eyes. The other little brothers rushed over when they heard the sound. Boqiang was stabbed, for I-Z was controlled, and all the younger brothers dared not act recklessly. A group of trash, I have raised you for free. Whoever kills Tian today, his seat is yours. There are always those who don't want to die in the club. One person holding a watermelon knife is about to chop them off. Jia and Jiuwen Long had just pulled out their machetes when Ye Tian chopped them down to the ground with 2 strikes. This is the end, if you don't agree, come on. Seeing this, the remaining little brother hesitated. Without saying a word, Ye Tian directly broke Boqiang's tendons. I'm your brother. You need to explain to the silly cow. Alright, I want you to go down and tell him yourself. Seeing the big wave of strength fading away, the younger brothers also retreated in fear. Boqiang, who was full of blood, took his last breath and said, You will be punished. Ye Tian sneered and said, If you come out and mess around, no one has an enemy yet. Today, I will kill you, and even the heavenly king and Laozi will stand aside. No one present dared to move, and Luo Tianhong also put down the knife with her hand against it. Ye Tian looked at the crowd present and said, As a talker, he is afraid of trouble and cannot protect his younger brother. Everyone stabs him. We are still brothers, otherwise we will go down and offer tea to Uncle Chang. In the face of strength, young brothers choose quickly, and 4IZ does not hesitate. Brotherly's first blow to Boqiang. This knife stabbed directly into Boqiang's stomach. Uncle Chang, don't blame us. You sold it first, brother. Boqiang and the remaining younger brothers of Xianyi also took action, stabbing Boqiang with a single blow. P.S. New book seeking data 200 flowers plus updates, 40 review votes plus updates. 005, Death Without Verification, the new spokesperson of Ciyun Mountain. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Under the torture of a knife, Bo forcefully lost his breath. Ye Tian's gaze turned to Four Eyes E standing beside Boqiang. The spirit of Four Eyes E is yet to be determined, and his mind is still full of the knife he just stabbed. Ye Tian sneered and said coldly. Four-eyed righteousness deceived the teacher and destroyed the ancestor, violating family rules. According to the rules, 3 swords and 6 holes. As soon as Ye Tian said these words, the young brothers remained silent. Ye Tian, you scumbag. Four-eyed Ye's mind was in chaos and he shouted angrily. Seeing the situation, Jia and the 3 of them had not yet reacted, and Jiuwen and Luo Tianhong responded in unison. Four-eyed righteousness, 3 knives and 6 holes, avenge Uncle Chang. Four-eyed righteousness, 3 knives and 6 holes, avenge Uncle Chang. The little brothers in the room suddenly lost their composure. Looking at Boqiang's pitiful expression, Liang Tian's ruthlessness made them even more frightened by the news. When these little brothers stabbed at Boqiang, they were in a slump. When this matter was swung, no one could escape, and everyone had to tremble with fear. Four-eyed regained his senses and shouted at his younger brother. "You're all blind, right? Who just chopped off Uncle Chang? There's a bunch of things that dogs can't see. Give it to me." The younger brothers watched Ye Tian's actions and knew they couldn't escape either. "Sooner or later, it's all dead. I'll fight you." "Ah. It's a fight." Luo Tianhong's eyes were sharp, and she held an 8-sided Han sword in her hand and directly cut off several people's hands. Four-eyed argued for a long time just to take the opportunity to escape. Of course, he knew that these 3 melon and 2 dates under his command were not opponents at all. However, once we reach this point, there is no way out. Without taking 2 steps back, Jia, who was quick-witted, pounced on the door. Luo Tianhong slapped twice, her 4 eyes and 2 arms landing on the ground. "Brother Tian, should we dispose of it?" Ye Tian rummaged over Boqiang's body and said, "Don't worry, the 4 eyes rebellion. Why are we in a hurry?" As soon as these words were spoken, the few people looked at each other and smiled. Ye Tianda found a string of keys on his body. In the room where the hall master was responsible, Ye Tian found the password box. Open the password box, where there is a stack of account books and a stack of money next to it. Ye Tian took half of the quantity and closed the box. Jiuwen and Luo Tianhong were stunned as they watched. "Brother Tian, this. You'll understand in a moment. There is a Tang sword on the knife holder next to the Buddhist niche. Under Tang Dao was a box with a lock, and Ye Tian tried to remove the key from Boqiang's body. Millions of money are hidden in boxes." Ye Tian sneered and said, "You can quite hide it. It seems like you should take less black money." At this moment, the big brother on Boqiang's body rang for half a day. "Brother Tian, this big brother." Ye Tian took the big brother Tony was holding in his hand. "Lao Ding, the beautiful sky of Ciyun Mountain, the sky of leaves." Uncle Mei was surprised and looked at the number on the phone, which was clearly strong. "Why are you, what's going on?" At this moment, Uncle Mei was feeling a headache over Ye Tian's situation, thinking that Ye Tian was probably begging for mercy. Counting 4 eyes, Yi took Tanko's money to bet on horses and was discovered by Changgu. Changgu was killed by them. What? Uncle Mei was burning with anger and suddenly stood up from the chair. "Where is Ciyun now?" Ye Tian said in a slightly panicked tone, "I came as soon as I heard the news. I was 1 step late, and Chang was stabbed to death. When I entered the door, I ran into Ciyun who wanted to escape and wanted us to be abandoned." Uncle Mei was dumbfounded, his blood pressure suddenly rose, and he collapsed into a chair. Ye Tian directly put this matter to death, with 4-eyed righteousness chopped to death. Death has no evidence, whether it is black or white, this is not entirely based on Ye Tian's mouth. "I know about this. You eliminated the 4 eyes righteousness. The entrance of Ciyun Mountain cannot be without a master. You should take over the entrance of Ciyun Mountain first." For a moment, Uncle Mei lost 2 more fierce generals under his command. Fortunately, when no one was available, a dark horse like Ye Tian was killed. After slaying the Iron Bull, in addition to 4 eyes Ye Tian, who was decisive in killing, instantly became the young man that Uncle Mei wanted to cultivate next. The matter with the number gang is not yet settled, but what Uncle Mei just said clearly shows that this matter is not as important anymore. Becoming a talkative person in the Ciyun Mountain Hall, Ye Tian's calm face had a pair of eyes that were hard to see. Looking at the younger brothers, Ye Tian ordered, "You guys, clean up this place. As for the body, throw it into the river." Ding, congratulations to the host for becoming a spokesperson for Hongtai Ciyun Mountain. Reward them with millions of Hong Kong dollars, arcade design drawings, and 100 arcades. Upon hearing the system prompt, Ye Tian was overjoyed. It's not that I became the spokesperson for Hongtai Ciyun Mountain, but rather the arcade design and 100 arcades behind me. At this time in Xinjiang, arcade games are definitely a profitable industry. It's just a matter of time before the system rewards design drawings and some components to cause a storm in Xinjiang. The speaker's reward was generous, and Ye Tian's ambition began to expand. The next day, everyone in the Senate gathered at the tea restaurant, which was of course Hong Tai's territory. This is the power center of Hong Tai. When Hong Tai encounters major issues, Uncle Mei will convene a meeting with the spokesperson. A round table surrounded 10 speakers of Hong Tai. This is a person watching the entire Hong Tai, each with a ruthless heart. Leopard Rong held his cigarette in his mouth and took a long puff, saying, "The Bo is strong in loyalty. It's unclear why one cannot die. Leopard Rong has a high ranking and can still earn money. In Hong Tai, his status is second only to Uncle Mei. Boqiang doesn't seem to be able to handle it anymore, even the people under his command can't control it. Ye Tian has caused such a big trouble, I really want to bring him over and give him a beating," Feilu said, panting heavily. "Yeah, I heard that Chen Huimin called Boqiang and asked for someone. Leopard Rong has always believed in the mystery behind Boqiang's death. With so many things happening, perhaps it was Ye Tian who framed Boqiang for Ciyun. Niu Lao sneered on the side and said, "Is that right? Just ask Ciyun and you'll know." Feilu looked at Niu Lao and said, "You cow X, call 4 eyes E up from below to ask questions." There were various opinions among the people present about this matter, and Uncle Mei frowned without saying a word. Leopard Rong impatiently said, "Why don't you just hand over Tian? This matter is over. Niu Lao has always occupied Baorong, and he also has business on Baorong's territory." The crowd was deadlocked for a moment. Uncle Mei was brewing tea as he listened to several people arguing and said, "Please, please have tea." As soon as these words were spoken, the room instantly regained calmness, and several people came to Uncle Mei to serve tea and drink. In the briefly quiet room, Uncle Mei spoke up and said, "If you provoke someone, you'll have to pay. What else are you talking about? You're still such a cowardly member of a gang. What other club do you belong to?" Bao Rong spoke up and said, "So the death of Boqiang is over. Uncle Mei has always been ruthless, and looking at young people with outstanding abilities and ruthlessness, he naturally won't let it go." Uncle Mei was cunning and said, "I finally came up with someone who can fight like this. This person cannot be dealt with. Everyone can tell that Uncle Mei is about to be confirmed. If he comes forward, it will be an offense. Make a phone call and ask Tian to come over. P.S. New book seeking data 200 flowers plus updates, 40 review votes plus updates. 006, Hongtai Dialect Affairs Meeting, Weijixiang, 6th update. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sir, there's a bunch of people around the entrance of Hongtai Ciyun Mountain Hall, it seems like someone is causing trouble. The police will not intervene in internal affairs of the club until the bottom line is reached. Public security issues are their responsibility. Everyone in the team gather and set off immediately. Hongtai Ciyun Mountain Hall mouth. A group of people were bustling and watching the excitement. "Sir, with so many people, should we request support?" Su Sir looked at the situation around him. "Let's take a look first." Luo Tianhong and others were wandering the streets, looking at the crowded entrance of the club. Jiuwen Long shook off his cigarette and said, "Damn it, something's wrong. The incident where Silly Cow was killed by Ye Tian happened yesterday. Seeing the police, Jiuwen Long and Luo Tianhong immediately became vigilant. Ah Jia, report to Tian Gu. After speaking, Jiuwen Long and Luo Tianhong, along with Tony and Ahu, blocked the police car door. What are you doing, blocking the police from carrying out their official duties? Do you want to take you all back for questioning? The four of them remained indifferent as Ye Tian walked slowly, followed closely by Ah Jia. Su sir, how dare you trouble me so much? Ye Tian exclaimed in a loud voice. Jiuwen Long and others finally gave up. Officer Su straightened his police cap and tightened his belt. If you cause trouble, I will do something. Ye Tian glanced at the few little brothers beside him. What has caused me trouble? A few people shook their heads, and Ah Jia cleverly gestured to Ye Tian. Officer Su placed his hands on his hips and looked up to signal behind Ye Tian. A few people took the opportunity to look over, and those who knew nothing were full of surprise. I saw 50 game consoles placed at the entrance of the hall. Officer Su glanced at the game console behind everyone. Sir, isn't it for this? Is that what you said about causing trouble? The little police officer next to him scratched his head, his face full of embarrassment. Sir, take your time, no delivery. The system's reward became the first batch of game consoles in Xiangjiang, occupying too much land, which was why they were piled up at the entrance of the hall. Fresh things naturally attract a lot of attention. After a while, Ye Tian instructed several subordinates. Tianhong, go and register an electronic game company. Its name is Bobugeo. The matter of Luo Tianhong joining the club to kill people is not ambiguous, but this matter really stumped Luo Tianhong. Brother Tian, this company. I don't understand either. Ye Tian looks at the other guys. Tony stood up and said, Brother Tian, I'll handle this matter. Ye Tian nodded and looked at Luo Tianhong beside him. Let's go together. We'll take care of everything and find a workshop at Ciyun Mountain. Yes, Brother Tian. Workshop. Yes, take this and find some skilled workers. It's best to start work immediately. Luo Tianhong looked at various design drawings and machine tools with disbelief on her face. Ah Jia, you are familiar with the Ciyun Mountain area. Go find a storefront and open a game console hall. Ye Tian Fan looked at the roster at the entrance of the hall. Old Jiu, for the people on the roster at the entrance of the lower hall, those who are alive, let's see if they can be used. Those who can't are fine. Yes, Brother Tian. Take Ahu along and bring some people back. Every club in Xiangjiang has standards for new recruits, Jiuwen Long asked. Brother Tian, are the standards still the same as before? Yi Tianji said, don't be a fan, find something you can fight against. I want both Daquan and Yunnan. The two leading horses Luo Tianhong and Jiuwen Long are far from enough. The more you play, the better. You must not be inferior to others in the club. In the next month, only the sound of the beautiful sky will remain on Ciyun Mountain. Yi Tian was calculating in his heart that Ciyun Mountain was just the beginning. Next, Causeway Bay, Wan Chai, Tsim Sha Sui, and even Ho River will all be in his pocket. Order 5 people to go out and do business. Yi Tian still has a lot of rotten guys who can't vent their energy. He is full of energy, impulsive, hot-blooded, and has no brain to control. Dingling bell, Ah Tian, Uncle Mei. Come to the villa, everyone in the hall is here to talk about things. Okay. Uncle Mei. Yi Tianxin thought to himself, at this moment when I make a phone call, it must be a silly matter like that. The matter has already been done to death, and there is nothing scary about it. Yi Tian drove there, and as soon as he got off the car, he saw an acquaintance named Hongtai Hongbang Weijixiang. 5 years ago, Weijixiang risked his life to save Crown Prince Hongtai from the hands of Morning Wave in order to rise to power. Yi Tian, who is familiar with the plot of the movie, knows that Weijixiang has not turned off the engine yet. Whenever I am humiliated in a club, I will go to bars, KTVs, and martial arts clubs to provoke trouble, which is well hidden. Brother Weijixiang, Uncle Mei also wants you to come. Weijixiang nodded as they entered the villa. Numerous people gathered around, smoking and brewing tea, with a worried expression on their faces. Uncle Mei, Chen Huimin called you on the phone. If he wants to talk math, let him talk and see what tricks he can do. If a person dies, keep them alive without stopping. Nonsense. Who wouldn't know that Silly Cow is Chen Huimin's leader? If I don't give an explanation after my younger brother dies, how can he still convince the public? Just call, it's easy to get into trouble with the help of the number. Is it easy for us, Hong Tai, to get into trouble? Everyone was arguing uncontrollably, and Leopard Rong crossed his legs and leaned back. Let me tell you, the top priority now is to clarify the matter of de Boqiang. Tian, come and talk about how de Boqiang died. Uncle Mei looked at Ye Tian standing aside and said, Tian, can you tell me what happened yesterday? Does de Boqiang's death have anything to do with you? Ye Tian remained unchanged in his dealings, and when he heard that everyone was present, he guessed that this was definitely going towards him. I have explained it to Uncle Mei, but I was caught by Brother Chang after counting 4 eyes and taking Tanko's money to bet on horses. The matter has been exposed. Brother Chang doesn't want to make a big fuss and wants 4 eyes to discuss it on his own. I don't know what kind of wind 4 eyes drew, so he rushed into the hall with his younger brother and killed Chang. Upon hearing this, Bao Rong took the lead in causing trouble. Then you'll take it on your own and leave no survivors. Your move leaves us with absolutely no evidence. Isn't this just a guilty conscience? As soon as Leopard Rong finished speaking, Niu Lao continued to speak in unison. How can I suspect that you killed de Boqiang and blame Xianyi? Ye Tian has already remembered the faces of these 2 people. Bring 5 people to pick a problem, I'm not stupid. For IDE has more than 10 people there. Feibu sneered and said, isn't that person in his 40s from Silly Cow also a ghost under the knife? Chen Huimin is still seeking an explanation. How can we say this? Bao Rong added fuel and vinegar and said, Tian has been really amazing lately. Everyone present was arguing fiercely. Uncle Mei patted the table and said. Alright, I believe what Tian said. De Boqiang was killed by 4 eyes righteousness. Ye Tian avenged de Boqiang and I announced that Ye Tian will take over de Boqiang's position. Ciyun Mountain talks about people. P.S. New book seeking data 200 flowers plus updates, 40 review votes plus updates. 007, let me set up the wine alone. If we can't reach an agreement, we can start fighting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As soon as Uncle Mei finished speaking, the whole villa became calm. The members of the club naturally feel unwilling, and the selection of new members should also follow the rules of the club. Without de Boqiang, Uncle Mei didn't ask the other disciples about his appointment, which inevitably made it difficult to justify. Not only this matter, but the new spokesperson cannot be elected. Previously, the territory of de Boqiang will be handed over to the existing spokesperson. At the end of each month, the income from the Ciyun Mountain Bar Street would make people envious. Otherwise, de Boqiang wouldn't just hold on to this piece of land and wait to die. I naturally don't want to bow down in front of interests, let alone, these words are not fuel-efficient lamps for everyone. Leopard Rong was about to speak when Uncle Mei stopped him. Ye Tian, as the official of the Ciyun Mountain Hall, naturally needs to have a reputation. Relying solely on Ye Tian to avenge de Boqiang cannot subdue the masses. Uncle Mei's gaze went straight to Ye Tian. Tian, I'll leave you with the position of the person in charge. There's something you need to solve. Chen Huimin called, but it's still a silly matter. Ye Tian Kai couldn't avoid this matter. The number gang had a large number of people, and the internal fights were just a common meal. By playing high, he naturally wouldn't be afraid of Xia Hongtai. Uncle Mei, what do you want me to do? Uncle Mei took a sip of tea to moisten his throat. Tonight, you'll be setting up the wine and counting. Chen Huimin and Chen Shenzhi will come over then. As soon as these words were spoken, Ye Tian's face was also filled with surprise. Am I alone? Ye Tian asked in response. Uncle Mei looked at Ye Tian Dao. You are the person in charge of Ciyun Mountain Hall's verbal communication. If you cause trouble, you will handle it and make sure to properly resolve it. A few speakers looked lively. Uncle Mei, Feibu, Leopard Rong and other senior members of these clubs have not stepped forward, clearly indicating that they do not want to provoke the number gang. Ye Tian set up the wine alone. Put your thoughts on the surface, speak clearly and start fighting if you don't understand. The number gang has a large number of people, and Chen Huimin is ruthless and ruthless. If you really can't explain it clearly, it's like Hong Tai handed over Ye Tian. In this way, we won't blame the number gang. Leopard Rong sat next to Uncle Mei and openly laughed out loud. What if you become a gossip person in Ciyun Mountain Hall? Maybe you'll be lying dead on the street tonight. Although there are no brothers in front of interests, it is inevitable that these people have gone too far. Standing at the entrance of the villa, Ye Tian lit a cigarette. No wonder Hong Tai is still like this trash. With these people around, how good can the club be? Taking a deep breath of smoke, Ye Tian also began to calculate for himself. Not to mention the situation of this negotiation, if you are still working in the Hongtai Club, you will inevitably have to deal with these cowards in the future. If it were a farewell club, life might not be as comfortable as it is now. Think about it carefully, even if you get the consent of these old-fashioned people and transfer to other clubs, you will continue to be like a dog to people. In Hongtai, it's different. How can I say that I am also the spokesperson of Hongtai Ciyun Mountain now? We need people, money, not to mention the support of the system. This starting point is also quite reasonable. After the game hall under my command earns money, I will expand the scale, and then I will become the leader myself. Hongtai Ciyun Mountain Hall mouth. Standing in the hall were over 100 teenagers, aged 17 or 18, all very arrogant. Luo Tianhong is standing in front of this group of people talking about the rules of the club. Are you all mute? I don't even know how to call someone when I see Tian Gu. Brother Tian shouted irregularly. Ye Tian walked straight towards Luo Tianhong. Brother Tian. How are you? Are you satisfied? You have no problem with people's judgment, I'll leave it to you. Luo Tianhong was flattered and exclaimed in unison, Thank you, Brother Tian. The entrance to the hall is right ahead. A bustling sound caught the attention of the people in the hall. The habit developed by practicing martial arts for many years immediately alerted Luo Tianhong. Ye Tian patted Luo Tianhong's shoulder and joked. Who dares to cause trouble here? Ye Tian looked towards the door. A group of burly men rushed into the door, and the newly recruited younger brothers were discussing it one after another. Look at the tattoos and scars on this body. Ye Tian recognized these people at a glance, a group of Yunanzi. Standing in front of these people are Tony and Ahu. Brother Tian. Brother Tian. Tony said to the group of Yunanzi. This is Tian Gu. I will work under Tian Gu and call him Tian Gu. Brother Tian. His voice was grand, and for a moment, the whole alley was filled with the voices of these little brothers. Ye Tian looked at the crowd and said. Once you enter this hall, everyone will be brothers. Naturally, you won't treat everyone unfairly. Noon, Ye Tian booked the most luxurious Zhuishan restaurant in Ciyun Mountain and set up a full 13 tables of banquets. Ah Hu Gu, I've come to see you as the right person. Tian Ji's move is really generous. That's it. Follow Tian Gu and I'll ensure your prosperity in the future. There was a 9-striped dragon between Ah Jia and Ye Tian, and Ah Jia stood up and picked up his wine glass. Brothers, I suggest that we have Tian Gu speak a few words. How about that? Say a few words. Say a few words. Numerous younger brothers began to coax, and Ye Tian stood up. It's not a big deal, everyone is brothers. As long as you're willing to work hard, the club won't treat you unfairly. I, who belongs to the god of wealth, don't lack money the most. Whether you can get it or not depends on your abilities. Give your life to Brother Tian. Give your life to Brother Tian. Money is the most attractive thing, coming out to make a living is just for money. The rules of the club are all clear, and I won't say much. Just emphasize one thing, you can't stick to powder. If you really get involved, if you break your hands or feet, I will handle it myself. Little brothers, even your voices should be in harmony. Listen to Tian Gu. Yes, we listen to Tian Gu. We do what Tian Gu says, and Tian Gu says we don't touch it. We just don't touch it. After drinking a glass of wine, everyone indulged in drinking and eating meat. Ye Tian will talk about the evening with Chen Huimin and Chen Shenzhi. Jiuwen long said, Uncle Mei and none of them are coming. It's not reasonable. Ye Tian is very calm. Luo Tianhong on the side gritted her teeth at the words. These old folks really want to kill them. Ye Tian's gaze turned to Ah Jia beside Jiuwen Dragon. Ah Jia, can we get a few guns? Ah Jia looked around and leaned forward, whispering softly. Tian Gu, how do you know about the 10 pistols I just got? The 9-striped dragon patted Ah Jia's shoulder. You kid, okay. Ye Tian raised the corner of his mouth. 10 guns, these guns are enough for them to eat a pot. At night, you guys take the lead and come with me. Look for some clever guys outside. If we can talk, we can talk. If we can't talk, we can fight. The murderous aura in Ye Tian's eyes scared even the little ones around him. Ah Jia and his younger brothers were also very fortunate to have followed the right person. Ye Tian couldn't bear to die for all the horses in his family. P.S. Is there anyone watching? 500 flowers plus updates, 50 review votes plus updates, can you cast a flower review vote for what you're watching? All kinds of requests. 008, Chen Huimin. Chen Shenzhi. You want me to go through a grade number? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yes, Brother Tian. Killing the foolish cow, Ye Tian has never denied this matter. Even if the foolish cow moves first, he is not afraid to speak numbers. When Ye Tian took action against the foolish cow, he had anticipated such a day. Uncle Mei, these old guys can't hold up any scenes, even if they don't show up, it's not a big deal. Moreover, Ye Tian has never been a person who is afraid of things, and no one looks down upon him. The entire number gang is not afraid of offending. Don't just talk about Chen Huimin. If Chen Huimin really wants to talk, he can talk. If he can't reach an agreement, it's just a fight. Ye Tian doesn't mind. However, if we kill Chen Huimin, there will still be someone behind it. At 5 p.m., Ye Tian and his younger brother appeared at the Yao Ma Tea restaurant on time. At the entrance of the restaurant, Ye Tian lit a cigarette with a calm face, rubbed his ear with his right hand, and looked around. Glancing across the street, I immediately saw 2 people smoking against a street lamp post. Weijixiang walked forward with all his bad luck and laughed heartily, saying, "Wow. Come and have a meal, don't you mind?" Ye Tian sneered at the 2 people and said, "This meal isn't that delicious." Weijixiang said seriously, "The number gang is not easy to deal with. Let's talk about the numbers. Mao Fanhua will also come back. Maybe he can explain it." Ye Tianchang took a deep breath and said, "What does Uncle Mei mean?" "The words have arrived, please walk slowly without seeing them off." Ye Tian turned around and left, not welcoming these 2 people, and Weijixiang was well aware of it. "Brother Jixiang, he doesn't want us to take care of him, otherwise forget it, said Rotten Life with disbelief on his face, multiple people, multiple helpers. Weijixiang continued. Ye Tian nodded. Weijixiang is not doing well and is looked down upon by outsiders, but he still values brotherhood. Watching his brother have an accident, Weijixiang won't stand idly by. Weijixiang fell for being too loyal. It is a good thing for mixed clubs to emphasize loyalty, but if they emphasize loyalty too much, they will inevitably be used by those with intentions. Weijixiang followed the crown prince of Hongtai, but they didn't even pay attention to him. However, it's normal. If a member of a mixed club can fight, he will be just a dog under the boss's command. After speaking, Ye Tian swallowed the clouds and puffed out mist, looking firmly at the two people in front of him. Looking at these two people, Ye Tianxin thought to himself, speaking of loyalty, I have taken note of this favor. Jiuwen Long took a few hundred yuan to give to the parking assistant. A few people turned their heads and entered the restaurant, with Ye Tian at the forefront, followed closely by Weijixiang and Ye Tian's younger brothers. Ye Tian's imposing demeanor caught the attention of everyone in the restaurant. Ah Jia pulled out a chair and Ye Tian took the opportunity to sit down. The lobby manager hurriedly welcomed him and personally greeted him. Sir, what would you like to have? Ye Tian surveyed the lobby of the restaurant. I have booked this hall and filled all the tables. Please show me the best ones. The lobby manager looked at only a few people in front of him and said, Sir, are you going to pack everything? Luo Tianhong's face showed a fierce expression, and the hall manager naturally knew the identities of these people. Okay, I'll arrange it now. Wait a minute. Ye Tian remained 2 bundles of money on the table and said, Is that enough? Enough. As long as the restaurant earns some money, it doesn't matter whether you are a member of the club or not. Ye Tian casually threw another bundle. Here's another one for you, don't come out and cause trouble unless you're told. Okay, sir, I'll arrange it now. Weijixiang was stunned as he looked at Ye Tian, who was so generous. This is too generous, isn't it? The restaurant manager finds it even harder to conceal his inner joy. Ye Tian is almost catching up with them for a few months. Zhi, the sound of brakes outside the restaurant disrupted the quiet atmosphere. After a while, Chen Huimin stood at the entrance of the restaurant with 4 younger brothers. Looking at Ye Tian sitting in the hall, his face was full of perseverance. Silly cow, did he chop it? Did you make a mistake? Chen Huimin, in his 20s, held a double-flower red staff and relied on fighting to rise to the top all the way, making him a terrifying presence in the martial arts world. Chen Huimin naturally dislikes Ye Tian. In no time, a middle-aged man in his 30s and 40s dressed as a pastor was Chen Shenzhi, known as Mao Fanhua in the martial arts world. A prominent figure who combines black and white, and will become one of the top 10 outstanding young people in Xinjiang in the future. Chen Shenzhi's birthday banquet is attended by people from all walks of life, and this kind of face is unique in Xinjiang. The 3 strong men standing behind are the 13 heavenly guards Gao Fei, Qian Pai, and Yu Huazi. Chen Huimin lost interest in Ye Tian, who was alone. Ye Tian stepped forward and shouted directly, Brother Min, Brother Hua. Chen Huimin saw that Ye Tian man was full of disdain and said, Did you do that foolish cow thing? Ye Tian said without any concealment, Yes, this matter is on my head. If it weren't for this, I wouldn't have been here today to discuss it. Chen Huimin never glanced at Ye Tian from beginning to end, and the little brother next to him immediately understood. Suddenly, a large number of strong young people rushed into the door. The lobby of the restaurant was instantly filled. Luo Tianhong and others were instantly vigilant, while Ye Tian's face remained calm as he looked at the 2 people. Min, Hua, please take your seat. Where's Uncle Mei? Chen Huimin said. Brother Min, Uncle Mei's club has something that requires me to come over and talk to Liang Tian. Weijixiang quickly added. Chen Huimin's instantly changing gaze was full of ferocity. What kind of thing are you supposed to be here to talk to me about numbers? Chen Huimin's instantly changing gaze was full of ferocity. Jiuwen Long poured tea for several people on the side and said, Brother Hui and Brother Min, please have some tea. The nine-striped dragon's invitation for tea slightly eased the atmosphere at the scene. Yes, yes, yes. I don't understand anymore, so I'll give myself 3 glasses. Even if we can't reach an agreement soon, the current etiquette still needs to be in place. Speaking of numbers, Hong Tai is sincere. Uncle Mei is getting older, and I also killed the foolish ox. You two hold high positions and authority, and I'll listen to you. Chen Huimin looked at Ye Tian's words with great respect and did not continue to make things difficult. Foolish cow, take action first. Being able to scrap foolish cow can also be considered your skill. Watching Chen Huimin relax, Weijixiang muttered in unison. They all hang out on the street, and it's common for brothers to bump into each other. Slaying someone is not a big deal, but it's my Chen Huimin's person who is causing a stir. When she first spoke, Chen Huimin had a smile on her face, but as she spoke the latter half of the sentence, the corners of her mouth instantly closed and her eyes were filled with murderous intent. For a moment, there was no one speaking on the table, and the scene fell silent. Ye Tian's face was serious, and his eyes couldn't help but look at Chen Huimin. The person has already been beheaded, what should I do? Chen Huimin looked at Ye Tian Dao as if nothing had happened. I want you to meet him below. As soon as Chen Huimin spoke, the younger brothers brought by Chen Huimin stood up one after another. The guy on his body is revealed. The nine-striped dragon and a few others were also instantly vigilant. P.S. 500 flowers and updates, 30 review tickets, is anyone watching? 009, the conditions given by Chen Huimin will start construction tonight. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ye Tian said calmly, if we can't get along with Tujiu, then let's fight. After speaking, Ye Tian's face remained expressionless, but those unfathomable eyes made people feel uneasy. The scene was instantly filled with a murderous aura, and both sides only took a moment to fight. The little brother brought by Chen Huimin stared straight at the people on the main table. Jiuwen Long and Luo Tianhong both glanced at each other. Jiuwen Long nodded, and Luo Tianhong reached out to grab the watermelon knife pinned around her waist. At this moment, Chen Shenzhi coughed and complained. Sit down and start fighting before we talk, don't be afraid of breaking the rules. The younger brothers of both sides breathed a sigh of relief, and Luo Tianhong slowly put down her hand. Chen Shenzhi's position is self-evident, and her seniority is also placed there, so Chen Huimin naturally dare not be reckless. Chen Huimin slightly restrained, but the fierce aura on her body couldn't be concealed. Chen Shenzhi is unwilling to see both sides engage in military conflict over this matter. The two clubs are fighting for a dead horse, even if the horse has the ability, it cannot be committed. Moreover, both sides have reason for this matter and neither side has reason. Chen Shenzhi never spoke up, but he listened to their argument from beginning to end. The club relies on fighting and doesn't follow the rules. Is it okay for everyone to fight all day? If I die, I know how to kill people. How can your gang of guys convince you? Chen Shenzhi naturally knew that the root cause of this matter was still Chen Huimin. Ye Tian's sincerity was evident from the beginning, and he admitted directly to what he had done and offered a toast, with nothing to say. Chen Huimin naturally wouldn't refute Chen Shenzhi's face and placed her hands in front of the table. Brother Hua, what should we do about this? Chen Shenzhi had already considered it before coming and turned her gaze to Ye Tian. The number guild will give Silly Cow a settlement fee, and Tian, you can also contribute a sum. Ye Tian nodded and Chen Shenzhi continued. In addition to the settlement fee, there is also a funeral fee, which you will pay. For Ye Tian, this little money is naturally nothing. It is natural to readily agree. Immediately, Chen Shenzhi turned her gaze to Chen Huimin, who was sitting paralyzed on the side. Both sides are at fault, that's it. Give me an explanation on your end and don't cause any more trouble. Chen Shenzhi stepped forward, but Chen Huimin didn't say much and agreed in response. Thunder is loud, raindrops are small. But take a look at Ye Tian again, this result is not painful or itchy for him. Chen Huimin is full of disdain and will never pass this matter with Ye Tian. What are you looking at? If you're not convinced, are you going to continue fighting? I heard you're very good at fighting, kid. No matter how excited Chen Huimin may be, Ye Tian's face remained calm. It doesn't matter, if you really want to play, then I'll stay with you until the end. Upon hearing this, Chen Huimin's subordinate Zizawen angrily cursed at Ye Tian. Dare to talk to Brother Min like this, see if I don't teach you a lesson. Bastard, just hit it, who's afraid of who? Ma, look at me. I won't chop you. Watching the little brother around him restless, Chen Huimin stood up and shouted. Hua Gu is here. When will it be your turn to speak? Chen Shenzhi looked at Chen Huimin and said. Do you know I'm here? After a moment, Chen Huimin continued. Ma Di, a group of rubbish, you, take 2 pieces of baijiu. Chen Huimin's younger brother took 2 pieces of baijiu. Is it a good drink? If you dry this bottle in front of me, forget about it. Chen Huimin is obviously picking on a problem. He didn't even pay attention to the expenses for settling down and funeral expenses. What he wants is very simple, he just wants to see if Ye Tian is unhappy. The 9-striped dragon stood in front of Ye Tian upon seeing this. I drank this wine for Tian Gu. Chen Huimin roared angrily. There are really no rules. We big shots talk about things, what's up with you? Ye Tian pulled open the 9-striped dragon in front of him. Oh my! Brother Tian. Ye Tianyi takes a bottle of baijiu placed on the table and pours it down after a few plops. Seeing this, Chen Huimin laughed heartily. After a bottle of baijiu, Ye Tian's face will not change. Seeing Ye Tian so cheerful, Chen Huimin knocked on the table and smiled at Ye Tian. Are you joking? Are you taking it seriously? Chen Shenzhi looked at Chen Huimin and knew that Chen Huimin had gone too far in this matter. Keep your word, that's all for this matter. No one is allowed to mention it again in the future. Yes, Brother Hua. Chen Huimin stared at Ye Tian in front of him and spoke seriously. Kid, I'll keep an eye on you. If you pass the file number, I'll give you another street to manage. How about that? Chen Huimin's eyes lit up, with such a little brother by his side, he probably could wake up with a smile from his dreams. Ye Tian took a sip of water without speaking, and Chen Huimin continued. The silly cow thing is already over. If you pass, then we will be brothers. Before drinking with Tujiu, Ye Tian had already considered this matter. Silly Cow has been in the number gang for over a decade, and its territory is not small. This is indeed a piece of fat. But Ye Tian still insists on his position, so he doesn't go to the stall and continue to be a dog. Ye Tian didn't take this matter seriously at all, he just thought Chen Huimin was joking. Ye Tian evaded and said, let's just pass the deadline. I have no plans for that. Talking to the number gang, even Hong Tai's leader, Uncle Mei, refused to get involved. Ye Tian handled this matter properly. Chen Shenzhi didn't expect Ye Tian to have such courage, which impressed Chen Huimin. Being a messenger at the entrance of Hongtai Ciyun Mountain Hall is a waste of talent. Don't you really consider going through the ranks? Ye Tian smiled slightly. This is indeed a good opportunity, after all, the power of the number gang cannot be compared to Hong Tai. But Chen Shenzhi never thought that Ye Tian's thoughts were far beyond this. Chen Huimin and his brothers drank happily. Chen Huimin wants to be satisfied with Ye Tian's Hato liquor. Chen Shenzhi is at home in Zhongdang, and coupled with the lavish banquet, Chen Huimin naturally can't pick any faults. At the entrance of Yaoma Tea restaurant. Outside the door stood a horse with over 100 numbers to help. Chen Huimin stumbled out, with Ye Tian, Weijixiang, and Jiuwen Long standing behind them. Chen Huimin said confidently. "You're a smart person, kid. You won't let me down." Ye Tian's face remained calm, and Chen Huimin shook his hand. "Kid, you have to figure it out yourself." After speaking, Chen Huimin got into the Mercedes-Benz car and flew away. At present, only Ye Tian and Hong Tai's people are left outside the restaurant. Jiuwen Long looked at the distant Mercedes-Benz and said, "Brother Tian, is this enough to make peace?" Ye Tian patted the shoulder of the 9-striped dragon. "Kid, being a member of the club is still so naive. Be careful. Ja, we need our brothers to come in and have a big meal. We'll start work tonight." Jiuwen Long stood in place muttering, "Start working. P.S. New book seeking data 200 flowers plus updates, 40 review votes plus updates. 010, Ye Tian takes a move to defeat the enemy, 5 shifts, seeking." You are listening at novelfull.audio. Inside the Yaoma Tea restaurant, everyone was still enjoying their meal. Luo Tianhong was eating happily, and the newly recruited little brother rushed in panic. "Brother Hong, there's an accident. Those little brothers of Silly Cow are clamoring to avenge Silly Cow." Luo Tianhong stopped her chopsticks in an instant. "Lao Jiu, where's Tiangu?" Jiuwen Long looked left and right and said, "It was just there, Ja. Where are the people from Tiangu?" Ja's mouth was filled with food and was about to spit out. "Just now it seemed like we were going to see off Brother Jixiang and Brother Quan." Luo Tianhong immediately reported to Ye Tian. "Tony is full of confusion about this. Brother Long, Brother Hong, are you exaggerating? No matter how capable the subordinates of Silly Bull are, they can't fight better than Silly Bull, can they?" Jiuwen Long looked at innocent Tony and said. "My subordinates must not be foolish enough to fight, can they? That rainbow brother is. Not being able to fight doesn't mean no one is fighting. Silly Cows have at least 1,000 people under their command." Tony froze in place. Recently, Yi Tiantanku has indeed been recruiting people, and the number of new and old ones combined is less than 400. The difference in the number of people is not even a fraction of a star. At 8:30 p.m., thousands of people gathered on Baoyun Street. The entire street is densely packed with people, waiting for the opportunity to move and waiting for the right moment. The people of Xiangjiang who are not related to the club have long been accustomed to it. This is the eve of the fire. To avoid losses, shops of all sizes were closed early. Apart from Hongtai, the greatest influence of Ciyun Mountain is the foolish and powerful people, and once eliminated, it becomes insignificant. This battle is inevitable. Got it. Ye Tian, who received the news, approached this street with over 360 Hongtai Mazai. There is no need to be afraid of killing someone in a fierce battle. Ye Tian walked at the front with a serious face, holding a tang dao and a cigarette in his mouth. Luo Tianhong and Jiuwen Long are 2 people, one on the left and one on the right. Afterwards, there are a group of young brothers from the club. With the warm dot-up of Silly Cow and Big Wave Chang, Ye Tian became numb to beheading people. Mixed community, this psychological endurance is still necessary. The new Yunanzi started to pounce and was really frightened by the scene. "Brother Hu, is this too much difference?" Ahu looked at Yunanzi in front of him and angrily cursed, pointing his nose. "Warning you little devil, if you don't want to do it, leave now and don't hold back." The thin ghost spoke in unison. "Just talk about it." Ye Tian and Ahu had already witnessed Ye Tian's ruthlessness and admired him from the bottom of their hearts. Luo Tianhong's time in the club was not short, and watching such a scene inevitably made her a bit nervous. Luo Tianhong, who knows this, is still young. After some experience, she can become a swordsman Hong that will spread throughout the martial arts world in the future. Luo Tianhong swallowed her saliva and stuttered a bit. Tian. Tian go, what will we do later? Ye Tian's face was full of relief. Kill it. Ye Tian threw away his cigarette and instructed the group of young brothers. Brothers, just kill me. I'll take full responsibility for tonight's settlement expenses. I can't treat you unfairly. The little brothers of the silly cow relied on the large number of people and shouted loudly. /Liang Tian and avenge Brother Nyo. /Liang Tian and avenge Brother Nyo. Both sides rushed towards the enemy and collided fiercely. Ye Tianchong was at the forefront, and a group of newly recruited young men were fighting for the first time. Naturally, Ye Tianchong wanted to make a scene. The silly horses rushed towards us. Just you. Stare at the shortest guy at the front. Short-haired, the head of the silly cow's side, today's biggest concern is him. Ye Tian wielded a tang sword and wiped off the opponent's neck with a fatal move. The little brother across from him hesitated slightly as he watched his short hair fall to the ground and twitch. Before a few people could react, they fell into a pool of blood with 2 knives and 3 others. Ah! The painful cry made people shiver all over. Obviously, the foolish ox's group of horses knew nothing about Ye Tian's strength. Yi Tianchao's silly ox's horse cub roared loudly. Aren't we going to avenge the foolish cow? Are you scared back? Come on. There are always people who don't want to climb up, and a bunch of little brothers flock up, shouting loudly. I'm fighting with you. Before the words could be finished, several people fell in groups of 3 or 5. Blood splattered all over Ye Tian's body. This scene frightened everyone. Damn it, Brother Tian is holding it like this. TMD, it's like slaughtering a pig, what's so scary about it? I am truly the heavenly brother. What's the point with so many people? Why don't we just cut a few more swords and solve it? Ye Tian is a heartless killing machine. The expressionless Ye Tian's demeanor made him shudder. In just a few minutes, the opponent repeatedly retreated. What if there are many people? There is only one result in front of Ye Tian, which is death. Jiuwen Dragon and Luo Tianhong are also fierce generals. At first, the 9-striped dragon couldn't let go. After killing more than a dozen people, it was cut one by one. Luo Tianhong has a great talent for killing, and after slaying the 2 of them at the bottom, she began to crazily output. The 2 of them went straight to the other side and knelt down to beg for mercy. Ah Jia, who had seen Ye Tian slay people several times, also learned a little about slaying people. Although the speed may not be as clean and agile as the 9-striped dragon and Luo Tianhong in front, they are not afraid. Several fierce generals are in front, and the younger brothers behind are also full of enthusiasm. More than 300 Hong Tai's horses are killing the silly little brother. Nearly 1,000 little brothers were forced to retreat step by step. When this matter spreads, fools have to climb up and settle accounts with them. A lifetime of fame is destroyed in an instant. The scene fell into a chaotic state. Waves of mournful screams spread throughout the entire street. Baoyun Street has become a bloody road. Perhaps following the will of heaven, a light rain began to fall from the sky. Roof, Chen Huimin lit a cigar and smoked comfortably. The fierce competition within the number gang has become a common occurrence, and most of the subordinates of Silly Bull are his brothers who go through life and death. These people don't recognize the club, they only recognize the silly cow. Ye Tian's execution of these people indirectly solved the problem for Chen Huimin. Chen Huimin thought to herself. I didn't take any action to save face for Brother Hua, but I happened to catch up. Otherwise, I might have been lying on the street tonight. Shi Ziwen beside her looked at the wailing downstairs and said. Min, should we? Before she could finish speaking, Chen Huimin suddenly turned back and suddenly changed her face and spoke in a stern voice. What do you want? It's troublesome for a bunch of idiots to keep it. Dealing with it would suit my taste. Chen Huimin looked down at Ye Tian, who was still wielding his sword and chopping people below, and said. Kid, you're really a person. From now on, let's return to the bridge and the road to the road. Chen Huimin instructed Zizewen beside him. Tell all the people in the number gang that Ciyun Mountain will be a forbidden area in the future. Whoever dares to cause trouble again will be dealt with according to the rules. After speaking, Chen Huimin turned around and left without looking back. P.S. New book seeking data 200 flowers plus updates, 40 review votes plus updates.